Namato Ratana Tayasa. May I pay homage to Triple Gem, the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. My respect goes to my parents and my teachers. Hello, good evening, everyone. Today is Sunday, the 20th of September 2020. This is again Ajahn Sujan from Varapunya Meditation Center, Aberdeen, Scotland. As usual, I'm here with you tonight again. Hi Pratibha, hi Margaret, hi Manish, Simone, and everyone. So today is another beautiful day with the wonderful weather, sunshine. In fact, it's really hot. But it's lovely to have such a wonderful weather in autumn, beginning of autumn. September, it's not easy to get such a wonderful weather here in Scotland. And yet, we have got it. This beautiful weather. And today I was also helping, we are planning for this window fitting. So hopefully we will be able to fit the window tomorrow. And thank you for all the sponsors for the windows. And meanwhile, thank you for the question as well last night. And particularly as another two questions came, that one of the questions were, when we are meditating, do we have to look at or sit in a particular direction to meditate? Now, in the practice of a meditation, we don't have to sit any directions or just looking at one direction. No, any direction is fine as long as you can sit comfortably. But if you have a Buddha statue, the best way is to sit in front of the Buddha statue or right hand side of the Buddha, left hand side of the Buddha statue, keeping the Buddha statue on the right. And having a comfortable position, and that is enough. So any direction that is safe, secure, and less distractions, conducive for the meditation, and that is fine. You don't have to choose any one direction or another. And the second question was that how long do we have to do the walking meditation, and how many stages of a walking meditation? Now, in terms of this question, in terms of this walking meditation, I have explained a couple of videos in the past. You can go and have a look and listen and follow. But in a brief, walking meditation, there are different ways to do it. But basically the practice that I normally introduce would be, there are 6 stages. And that starts from the standing, aware of a standing, and intention to walk, and then walking mindfully. Hello Gautam, Sukyo. And then mindfully walking. And the first stage of a walking meditation is right moves thus, left moves thus. Or simply walk, brisk walk, and go on. Yeah? So there are other stages that you can practice. In terms of the amount of the practice, technically it is said that if you are sitting half an hour, do the walking meditation half an hour. And normally you do the walking meditation first and then the sitting meditation. And the sitting and then walking meditation, again, can be substituted at the beginning by doing the chanting. So this is just a brief introduction to how to do the walking meditation. Hello, Ankush, Sarala, Sukyo. Yeah. So that's why the walking meditation, again, it depends on how you practice. The most important, according to the teachings of the Buddha, it says, Tito wa tito miti pajanati. That means you know that you are standing. Yeah. Hello, Anish. And then, gachanto wa gachamiti pajanati. You know that you are walking. And then further, there is one particular word, and let me now find the exact word from the Buddha, from the Satipatthana. It's so beautiful that I really like that. And that is what really mean by the walking meditation. And here in the Satipatthana, it now clearly says that tito wa tito miti pajanati. If you are standing, you know that you are standing. Nisinno wa nisinno miti pajanati. You know that you are sitting. Yeah? And then the one I wanted to point out here is called yatha yatha wa panas kayo panihito hoti tatha tathanang pajanati. Yeah? In which that means in whichever position he disposes his body, he understands it properly. Right? So that's why in a practice of a meditation, all what we need is to be mindful walk. Right? But however, in order to get the deeper understanding, we have to have a slow, mindful walk. And normally it should be done equal with the sitting meditation. Right? So these are the two questions came last night and unable to answer. So now come back to today's topic of the right mindfulness. And yesterday I mentioned, and I was able to talk only the contents of the Kayanupassana, or the bodily contemplation, in which I will again refresh that in the Kayanupassana, the contemplation or the mindfulness of the body, a combination of the Anapanapabba, which means the breathing practice, breathing meditation. And here again I mentioned that Buddha didn't locate any place for the practice of a breathing meditation, but in fact simply said that know that you are breathing in and know that you are breathing out, and experiencing the entire body and calming the body. Okay. And the second is Iriyapada, that's focusing on the four main postures, and it starts from the standing, walking, sitting, and lying down. And particularly the one I have just mentioned as well, that yatha yatha nang panihitang tatha tatha nang pajanati. So in whichever position you are in, you are mindful. So this is the second section of the contemplation of the body. And the third one is the sampajanya, which basically means experiencing even small movements, whether turning right, left, sitting, standing, urinating, and so on. So you become mindful. And here again, whenever you are working, writing or whatever you are doing, you become mindful. Right? And the third section I mentioned, particular manasikara, here again contemplating the 32 parts of the body, starts from the hair of the head, so and so. And the third, dhatu manasikara, the whole entire body is combination of the four elements, and made of four elements. There is no I, me, and a mind. There is no Chansujan or nothing, but simply the flesh and blood, made of this flesh and blood and his bones. So in this Dhatu Manasikara again, the whole all the four elements, and the last one is Navasivatika, which basically means the looking at the crops in 9 different stages of a decay. And nowadays this is not easy task to practice, but you can imagine. Now the second factors of the Satipatthana, which is the Samma Vayama, Samma Sati, or the right mindfulness. The second one is the Vedananupassana. Vedananupassana, which means the mindfulness of feeling. A mindfulness of a feeling, and is like when a feeling is a pleasure, pain, or indifferent, you are mindful of that. Okay, you are mindful of that. And here in the Satipatthana Sutta, it says Kathanchapana bhikkhave bhikkhu vedanasu vedananupassi viharati, which means that, and then monks, how does a monk dwell or mindful, observing the sensation in sensation? Okay, and the Buddha further said that ida bhikkhave bhikkhu sukhang va vedanang vediyamano sukhang vedanang vediyamani tipajanati. Yeah? Basically means while experiencing a pleasant sensation, he knows that I am experiencing pleasant sensation. And similarly, when you're experiencing the unpleasant sensation, you know that you are experiencing unpleasant sensation. And sometimes when you are experiencing the indifferent sensation, which means neither pleasure or no pleasant sensation, then he understands. And then sometimes, the pleasant sensation with attachment, or called amisa, saramisa, and he understands that I'm experiencing a pleasant sensation with the attachment. Pleasant sensation with the attachment. While he is experiencing a pleasant sensation without attachment, he also knows that he is experiencing without attachment. Right? So while experiencing unpleasant sensation, he also knows that. So that's why in the Vedananupassana, what we need to know that in our day-to-day life, we always experience Vedana, or the sensation, or the feeling. And some people ask me, what is the difference between sensations and feelings and emotions? Sensation is a neutral. Feeling is also neutral, and this can be used synonymously. Emotion is different. Emotion is something that you have reacted. Emotion is your reaction to the sensation or a feeling. Now things arises at that very moment. We cling into it, or we transform it or identify it, and then make it a judgment into a liking and disliking, and that's how it transforms into the emotion. So emotion is a reaction to the feelings or sensations. A sensation itself is a pure. It's a conditioned aroused. Because of the condition, it is there. It hasn't got any connotation of a pleasure or unpleasure. And that is the reason that same thing happened but different people experience different sensations. So different people experience different sensations. So that's why the feeling is a neutral. But our reaction, on the basis of our perception, that transforms the feeling into the emotion. And the more you attach to it, the greater it brings unhappiness. Sukhyo Sutna Amrit Talanpon Pichit. Indeed. So the Vedana needs to be understood properly. And the Buddha used the simile, the Vedana is like a water drops. I think I have mentioned this in the first noble truth not the first noble truth, on the first factors of the Eightfold Noble Path, the Samma Ditti. I mentioned it, they're having a right understanding of the Vedana. Because Vedana is always in the present moment. The Vedana never will be in the past or the future. The very moment when you talk about the past experiences or emotions, and that's already past, not the present. Okay, not the present feeling. That's not the present sensation. That's your previous feeling, and yet that also happens here in the present moment, but you do not feel or do not understand that this is happening here in the moment. Your mind or preconcept that it was happened. So that's why we always speak with the past tense. But in fact, even though you are talking about your emotions, you are doing here in the present moment. You're simply displaying the past incidents in the present moment. And now, the practice of a Vedana is basically understanding what's going on. And you can reflect on yourself that whatever you are experiencing now, whatever you are thinking, whatever you are speaking, whatever you are doing, is here and now. And that is the base. And so the Buddha used the simile of a waterfall, rainwater. When rain falls on the surface of the water, it creates the bubbles. And that bubbles won't last long. Within a few seconds, it arises and passes away. And the practice of a meditation is to understand that. Understand that every sensations or feelings that we experience, that is only for temporarily arisen. It's temporary. Now, eye sees object, ear hears the sound, nose smells the odor, and the tongue tastes the tastes. Body comes to contact with the photappa or the tangible object, and mind constantly contact with the Dhammas. Whenever this is conditioned, at that moment Vedana arises. And the very moment when this Vedana arises, if we have a right understanding that this Vedana lasts only for temporary, then we would not have anything to do with. We simply know it as it is, rather than identifying that this is me and a mine. That's one of the gentlemen, who went to speak with the Buddha, and I have quoted this story so many times. That the Buddha was on alms around, and he came and asked for the teachings, and the Buddha said, wait, I am on the alms around. I will give you later. But he didn't listen. He requested for a third time, and a fourth time Buddha, after looking in his time schedule of his life, Then the Buddha taught him, Ditte dittamatang sutte suttamatang, which means seeing is just the seeing. There is no I am seeing. There is no such thing I see. Hearing is hearing. There is no such thing that I am hearing, and so and so. And after that, he was enlightened. The path is so clear. Path is so clear, only perception that we have is not unclear. We are still in the thought process. We have still this deluded state of the mind that this sensation or this feelings that arises through the contact of the senses to the outside world is a permanent entity. And we grasp on that. And that grasping due to the tanha, the craving. So avidya, the ignorance, not knowing the fact of this Vedana which arises temporarily, we crave on that. We crave. And with that craving, rather than having the right understanding of it and going into the Eightfold Noble Path, we are going into the cycle of a rebirth, creation. That's why in the Paticca Samuppada it comes Vedana Paccaya Tanha. So not knowing the Vedana as the truth, we crave. Tanha. And because of that tanha, we have attachment to that feeling or that sensation, and that creates the emotion. And that emotion drives us to follow, to do something. And sometimes people struggle a lot because of that emotion. Sometimes someone may have said to you long time ago, upset you, told you off. But that person already forgot what he or she has told you at that time. But you still hold it. And you are suffering. My advice is that they are not paying a rent. Why do we have to take their words in our brain and haunting us, making us sleepless nights, making us uncomfortable, making us feel sad? So just drive them out. Do not take it on. And thus taking on board is simply our attachment to the feeling that had happened at that time, a long time ago. And if you go back after a couple of weeks or months later to that person and ask, I didn't like what you said. And pretty often they have forgotten what they have said. And pretty often they didn't even meant what they have said. So that's why anything that you experience at that time is the Vedana. You experience that Vedana. And not knowing that Vedana, you take on board and attach to it, crave and attach to it. With that attachment, you react. React by mentally, react by physically, react by verbally. And that reaction is called formation. So you are forming your own destiny by reacting on the sensation that you have experienced at that time. So the practice of a mindfulness meditation helps us to understand that fact, that the sensation is temporary. And after you have understood this every day, doesn't matter what happened, doesn't matter what you're experiencing, doesn't matter what's going on. You know that this is going to be, temporary. It is a transient, impermanent, it's changing. The fact is changing. Then there is no clinging, there is no attachment, there is no holding. And with that, we simply understood. The very moment again, this is what we need to be understood, that the very moment when we don't understand the sensation correctly, that moment we are creating a new samsara, going into the world of dukkha, the suffering. And this we can't blame to anyone. We can't tell to anyone. And even we can't, tell to so-called external, spiritual powers like the God or Atmans or so and so. No, they didn't know at all. That's you who have created on the basis of what you experience in the here and now. And that's why Vedana always happens here and now. And the practice of a meditation is to understand that moment by moment what's happening. Because in this life we have the consciousness, this body, and this six senses. That's all we have, nothing more than that. And within this we will do only three things. One, we speak. Two, we act by physically. And three, we think. So we work in three ways. That's all we do. And whenever we are doing something, whether we are speaking, whether we are doing physically, whether we are thinking, that we do on the basis of the feelings or the sensation. So be mindful. Do not let this feeling or do not let this sensation transform it into the emotion. The very moment when it transforms into emotion, remember that you have reacted on the feelings. And that's how it's transformed into the emotion. And when it's become an emotion, it will affect you. And not only the affecting you, that will affect the people around you and even to the community, even in a greater nation-wise. So practice of a meditation is to understand that and ability to let it be. Let it be. So I offer this for tonight on the Samma Sati, the right mindfulness, which is the Satipatthana. And today I covered the second factors of a Satipatthana in brief. Thank you everyone for listening, and may you all be well and happy. May the Buddha Dhamma Sangha bless you. In a few moments time, we're going to have the evening chanting and guided meditation. So you're most welcome to join with us. Until then, good night and see you shortly. Sadhu.